I like this. Look at it. It just oozes quality. This is a Bluetooth speaker. It's got a nice rubber outer layer here. It's got the Marshall like guitar amp branding. It's very heavy for its size, and there's my hand, so it gives you an idea of how big it is. And yeah, it just looks really good. I like the big carry strap on it. You know, the problem with this one is it's USB-C charging port, and it's been fairly well demolished in there, so it needs another one of those. That's all. Hopefully it's easy to get into. Some of these things can be quite well put together, but I guess we'll start with the rubber. Oh yeah, it peeled off pretty easily, just hooked under the edge there. Should we start with that? Has it got a seam? I don't see a seam, so maybe it just pops off. Maybe we just pop it off around the edges, and it might just slide out like a giant sock, perhaps. Maybe we take that off first. Does that unscrew? Feels like it's unscrewing. There we go. That should let this sock-like outer slide right off. Much nicer way of doing it than the JBL ones, I think. I'll just peel that down like that. Cool. And that leaves us with some screws. Easy access. What an awesome design. There's some more on the side there, some more on that side. Thanks, Marshall. You guys thought ahead. So which one should I start with? I'm thinking there's got a battery symbol on there, so this plate must lead to hopefully a replaceable battery. Yeah, you must be able to buy another one, I would imagine. This grill on the end is actually a metal plate, so nice quality there. I wonder if we take those four off and get the grill off and see what's behind it. But I'm thinking I saw a red light. Did I push something? I'm thinking, because there's the port, so we need access in this area. There's a screw there. It's countersunk. So there, yeah, okay. One screw in each corner that's countersunk, all right, and one screw in each corner there that's countersunk. They might be holding this whole side on. Let's try that theory. May need to undo these ones. These ones around here are going to take this top plate off. Let's try the corner ones and see if we can just get the side off by itself, because it doesn't need a full dismantle. Well, I'm sure you guys are dying to see what's inside. I know I am. It's pretty heavy. Just had a look online. This thing is $360 US. So that says a lot right there. This thing was released early 2023. It looks like just over a year old. Well, they may have purchased it later in the year, but it's not an old product. Now I've got those screws out. Let's see if we have any sort of movement on that side plate. It feels pretty stuck. I'm just going to give it a little bit of a nudge. It could have some adhesive around it, but it doesn't feel like it's moving like it has adhesive. So we may have to go for these end caps. Let's just do that. Ooh. That's a nice looking cone down in there. It could be a resonator. It may not be one of the actual speakers, but I'm going to say that it's probably a speaker. Looking at the metal frame around it, and again, the quality of this thing. Well, this side panel's still not budging. There's nothing immediately under here. There's a couple of screws at the bottom, which is going to be for sort of this little piece of frame here, but I would have thought this would start to show signs of movement. So I'm going to start undoing this top plate. This has our buttons on it, and we'll see. I might just start with the one side first and then see what happens. So these are a T8 Torx bit. They've got a little plastic washers under the head as well. Now, is that going to wiggle a bit? Has it got... No. It feels fairly stuck on there still. So let's get the rest of that plate undone. Will it lift off? It feels loose. I'm imagining there'll be some kind of sealing material under there. Possibly. Something's holding it. Let's have a peek under the edge there. Possibly a big flat ribbon, flat flex under there down the back end that we want to be very careful about. I'm not too sure what it goes to yet. Well, I guess it goes to the main control board. There's a button board on top there that looks quite involved. Yeah, I'm not going to lift that anymore. It is wanting to pull on that flex, so we don't want to damage the connector. We have to get into this a different way, so maybe we have to start through the battery compartment, perhaps, and maybe these end screws. What say we take off? Let's take off all these end screws and see what happens. They have keyed the end plates as well, so you can't put them on the wrong way around. There's a little dimple there and there for a peg to sit in. And we'll get these other screws. So those ones are a bit longer, so just watch that. That's the ones at the, I'll say the bottom because this is the battery side, so those ones on the side at the bottom. And the ones at this end, are they going to be longer? Yep, the ones at the top end are as well. There's our end plate. Is that keyed as well? It is. It's keyed using the same pegs as the end plate. You can't go wrong putting it back together. Now, what would come off next if we want that side panel off? Maybe the side panel doesn't come off at all. Maybe I'm dreaming, but I wonder what those countersunk screws do. Let's do. I don't think I'd need to take the battery off. Okay, let's take the battery plate off. Let's just do that anyway. What do we got? Looks like a custom battery. And it's snugly held in there with some foam tape around it. And it looks like we should be able to just unplug it from there, but it's not going to come, is it? Because it's probably got a latch on it so it doesn't fall off when you drop it. I don't see any way to get a latch, so I'm just going to give it a bit more of a tug. Maybe I can get some pliers on the side of it so it's not too brutal. I'm going to rip the wires out. That's a rubber around that plug. Doesn't feel like it wants to undo. I really don't want to pull too hard on that. Well, maybe I should RTFM. Okay, well, doesn't seem to come out that way. I might put that cover back on because it doesn't serve any purpose having it removed other than all it does is hold the battery in. This appears to be a waterproof seal, and it doesn't actually unplug there. It goes through the seal and plugs into the board. So I'm just going to pop that cover back on just so it's not flopping out all the time like it did in this other guy's video. One thing I did see on the video though was to get the side plate off, it does just pull off now that these corner screws are removed. And he gave it a bit of a push from the side, so I'm thinking just above the screw hole there you can actually see, you can see where the plate, the metal plate comes in through there. This is the tab on the metal plate, so this will push out that way. Oh, and it sounds like the thing just turned on for me. It's unfortunate. So if we just give a bit of a push against that, there we go, the side plate pops out. And we should be able to lever on the other one. There we go. Oh, yep, you heard that. It's on, it's doing something. It might have just turned off, it might be leaning. There we go. Where's our on off button? It is it the big one in the middle? Pop out the rest of this cover. Like that. Ta-da! So well put together. There's a nice material behind the grill there. It appears to be fairly well adhered. There's no like little strands of glue or bits coming off. That suggests it's a cheaply built unit. With the cover off the side, what can we see? Well, there's the port. It's not moving, so it's not going to pop out by itself. But we do have a bunch more screws around the side, and they, I guess, are going to, that whole thing's going to pop off. I'm thinking this is just a passive resonator. It doesn't look like a normal speaker cone, and it's just kind of located with a couple of studs around the side, so it's definitely not a speaker. With the screws out, we can possibly lift this section out. Let's get some leverage behind that. So we'll start there, and that does lift. Cool. Right, so that all appears to be lifting somewhat freely. Feels like we're snagged again. What are we snagged on? All the wiring bunched up down in there. It's going to come out. It's going to come out with it, maybe. Okay, there we go. So there is the flex connector to the front. So this is where you are supposed to initially remove it. So we shall do that. But it would be nice to unplug the battery first, just in case. But where does the battery come in? It comes into here. Actually kind of bunched in one loom. I think that white connector staring at us there is the battery connector. It's kind of half disconnected. Maybe that happened when I was tugging on it to get it out, but the clip is not actually seated over it. So did we do that? I don't know. But let's pop that off. There we go. Does it have the battery colors in it? Yes, it does. We've got red, yellow, and black. So that should be our battery. I think if we, yeah, it doesn't respond to any of the buttons. Cool. Okay, so we're safe. We've got no power. We can now remove this flex in case there's, well, there is power, some power on there because the buttons, of course, but it could just be nothing important. Do I fold that down? It looks like one that you fold down. It's quite a big one though. Some of those big flat flex connectors can catch you out because they can feel a bit tight when you're trying to pop them. I think we want to flick this black rail, has to fold out towards us, so we'll get a couple of fingernails under there and pull. There we go, and of course it released the tension and the flex came out. So it's always fun to have to reseat them under tension, but I think we could probably screw that that panel back on, It's kind of pointless now. The USB port is on the top. It is on here on the panel we're removing, so we only need to get this whole thing out. And we're done. As you can see, there's a gap under there, so it is just a passive resonator on top. So we just have some other connectors to remove. So what are we doing here? We have one connector here that looks like it'll just pop off. Well, we didn't have to unplug that. We kind of did. This goes from the charge port to the main board, but it's wrapped. This foam is wrapped around and tied up with the battery cable. We could have unplugged it from the charge port end instead. In fact, I'll do that too, and then it can just stay behind, and you'll see what I'm on about. So there you can see there, got the charge port end, and the whole length of it is bundled with the battery cable. Then we have, of course, that, whatever that goes to, that just popped off. It may go to a microphone perhaps, and then we've got our speaker leads, I think. Let's just unplug. There's that one there. It's a bit bigger than the first one that fell off, and then there's this really big one, which I would have thought might be our speaker connector because of its size. And it's out. So where do those other cables go? That is one of our, that's our side speaker there. This is another side speaker, and possibly a front speaker. There might even be a speaker behind this grill, actually, because there's 4 wires there. There's two, definitely two. One going off down the front there. So I'm pretty confident in saying there's a speaker behind that front grill. I'm not going to pull it that far apart. I don't think we need to. That's a pretty good look inside. Really, it's interesting design. All the weight might actually be in the front side, but yeah, it kind of feels that way. It doesn't look like overly large magnets on these speakers, but that's not to say there's some fancy compact design. You can actually see the voice coil in there, which is interesting. It's not fully submerged behind the magnet. There's a nosy at the back. What are they using for a driver? Amplifier driver. There's a lot of silicon in there. There's a few inductors. It's probably class D, if I had to guess. Yeah, not too sure. Yeah, this is obviously our main processor. I don't see where's the heavy current traces. I think maybe that little IC could be our amplifier chip. It's got a couple of large traces going into the end out to these capacitors. There's also a bunch of inductors at that end. I think, yeah, it's a small little chip. Probably makes a lot of noise too. Well, we need to get to the charge port, so that's here. 2 screws behind that, and it'll fall out the other side by the look of it. Now here's hoping I've got something on me, but the way the world is, everyone's got to make their own type of USB socket to suit their own device. No one can just pick one off the shelf and run with it, and then everyone has the same one. Maybe manufacturers should say, no, these are the only ports we do, so you make it fit. And there it goes. And looking at it, it's looking pretty proprietary, methinks. You never know. You probably buy this as one module. Yeah, but we just want to replace the USB socket. To get this out, it appears to be, yeah, it is, it's going to pull out. I was hoping they didn't glue it in. But that port is looking very, very unique. You can see possibly see the damage on the right hand side there. It's a bit munched up. Well, it's unfortunate because I'm going to have to order one. It's one thing I just noticed. They've gone to a very good extent to waterproof this thing. There's actually a little O-ring around the headphone socket, just right around here. Rubber O-ring, and unfortunately there is a little rubber O-ring around the USB connector as well. Now that is going to be interesting if we have to reuse that, or if it's so unique to this product that it comes with it. Well, I cannot find anyone selling that particular socket with an O-ring at least, or this board as a module, so I guess we're just going to have to take it off and have a look at the pads and see if we can match it up to something that will do the job. So we're going to have to peel off this black strip there so we don't destroy it with the hot air gun. And it looks like the adhesive is coming with the strip, which is always good. Makes life easier. Now I might just leave it hanging off the side so it's already lined up, ready to go, because we're only heating this side. And I'll possibly even heat it from the top, because we aren't going to need a lot of heat. It's a very small board, so it should be okay. We're not too worried about the socket itself. It's already destroyed. Because it's a small board, I'm going to go in at 340-ish, and we'll see if we can get it off without melting anything plastic. We'll warm it up from a bit of a distance first, just to help. You can see the foam tape shutter if I accidentally bump it with the air. Maybe I should turn the heat flow down. Let's take it down to 80, because there's really not a lot going on here. Just focusing it mostly on the port and not going too far to the headphone socket. There it is. Make sure it's loose, we don't want to rip any pads. Now, is that a standard layout for pads on a USB-C port? Kind of looks like it, or maybe not. Okay, I see what's going on there. Okay, so this one, you can see there's a row of pads along the right hand side, which would sort of line up with the ones you can see on this one, and then a row of pads along the left hand side, which on this one I'm holding, you can see is actually pins that go through the board. So what I need to do is find a USB-C where those pins are also part of the surface mount connection. Can I touch the old port yet? Still a bit warm. So we're looking for something that looks like that, that also has the same through-hole securing points, which don't actually go very far through. It looks like they go halfway through the board. They're not very big. Hey, I foraged around and I managed to find the original USB socket being sold on eBay. There is no other option by the look of it. We are stuck with trying to find an original, and thankfully they do exist, although I couldn't find it under this model number. You had to look under what was the other one? Middleton? Was that it? Another Marshall Bluetooth amp, and the sockets are being sold for that one, and they are identical. Let me just, I guess you probably want to know for sure. Let me just pull that up. Yep, it was for the Marshall Middleton. Going to pre-tin the pads to give me the best connection possible, which we want to strive for because we can't see what's going on underneath, being typical USB-C surface mount with half the pins in the middle underneath buried away. So just a bit of flux on the pins and a low temperature iron, and away you go. I've got it set at 295, which is right here. Now I am a little concerned about the headphone jack right there, or it might be a line-in jack, I'm not sure. Of course it's a line-in jack. Why would you plug headphones into a Bluetooth speaker? Being plastic and needing to heat this up, although this board is tiny, you can see it's the size of the width of that connector and the port itself, deep, yeah. So it's not going to take a lot of heat to seat this. So I'm thinking we could probably do it at about 330 Celsius on the hot air, and we should be safe not to melt that connector. Preload the pads with a bit of solder so we can just drop the new port in place. Get some down in the holes. Run down the pads as well. And that end one. A little bit there and there. It's not going to take much. Right, get rid of that now burnt flux. Maybe I'll just pop a little bit of Kapton tape in the area. See if that will help deflect the air at least around, away from the rubber ring on the end of the socket there. Yeah, I'll try that. So I'm going to come in at 340 and 80% airspeed, probably not 80%, 80 airspeed. And I'll get the phone call. Now we should be able to see if it goes shiny on us, and keeping an eye on the plastic surrounds. Oh yeah, that's going to do the business, isn't it? Perfect. Alright, we'll pop a little bit of flux on that. And see if we can get this port on. And hope we've got enough solder on our terminals. Just that top joint, there's a bit of excess copper there, that's soaking up the heat. In the hole, in the hole. Come on, in the hole. Why is that not sitting down? Hold it down, try and get that down into place. Why is that not sitting down? It looks crooked. There we go, I think. No? Something not quite right about that. Let's clean off all the solder so we can have another good look at it. And here's our port. And that sits down in those holes. And that sits like that. It does look square to the board, like it's not tilting up or tilting down. If I just have it sitting there like that, and there's the back row, which appear to be flat on the board in that position. Those pins are not quite flat on the board in that position. I might have to lift them actually. So then what was the problem I was experiencing? because the solder was pretty liquid. It was definitely sitting in there, and they don't even go all the way through the board, those legs. Let's raise both rows of pins there. Ever so gently. We'll just encourage them to up slightly, because they will very easily bend down to shape once we put it on the board. Let's give that a shot. Let's load those pins up with some solder and the board and see what happens. This board holds the heat quite well, so I can back off a bit once it's all liquid. Right, let's get that sitting roughly in place. Come on, solidify. And now I need to squish it down onto the board, which I'm probably going to have to move the board onto a surface that I can do that on. And hopefully this doesn't suck all the heat out of the board. There we go. Push down nice and firmly, feels good. Not too firmly that we bend the board. Ah, look at that. Appears to be sitting even. Oh yeah, they appear to be attached. It's a bonus. Probably could do to be a bit better attached. I might need to get some flux down in there. Just a little bit of flux there. Not really getting down under there. That's better. Seriously, lack of solder, isn't there? Might have to take this back off, because it is not looking the best. I wonder if I can scooch this port sideways this way a little bit. You can see the pads are a little bit down from the pin. You know you end up messing it up. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's try and get that to line up a little better. Even though everything seems to be happy, let's ruin it and make ourselves more work. There we go. Push down, hold. Okay, that's enough messing about. I think we're good. We came down this way a bit. It's a better lineup of those pads. I'm happier with that. Right. Let's clean up and send it. Our port is clean. That's the main thing. Don't need any flux down in there. Now we can reattach our foam. Spread that back out. Finally. Now it's only been a hot minute since I took this thing apart to start with. And by a hot minute I mean a couple of months. Far out. Okay. How did this go back together? We've got a couple of screws there that hold the board into the frame. So that slots into there. Down into there. Okay. Looks good to me. So then that's going to go into there. Going to be first. And I've got a little one over this side. That's going to be last. So we'll get that one there on the speaker, I think. And that one there. And that little one. Working our way down, be that one next in the middle. It's very well tightly packed together. Make sure the locking clip locks in. And we have the other end of our USB socket board. That goes there. Make sure it seats all the way down because it can stick up in the middle. It's quite a thin connector for its length. And we just have our ribbon cable. Now, which one was the battery actually? I was going to do the battery. I don't know if I want to plug that flex in while the battery's connected. Oh, it's that one I just plugged in. Okay, might just do I have enough room on that flex to do that? Oh, yeah, it kind of comes right out, doesn't it? So I should be able to put that on first and then plug the battery on, just to avoid any potential issues. Much like the screen connector of a laptop, where you don't want to have power on it when you're connecting it. Oh, yeah. That was a bit easier than I thought it was going to be. Now we can put the battery on and cross our fingers. The battery's probably dead flat anyway, having said that, given that the port was a loss. Wouldn't have been able to be charged. Okay, we are clipped in. Locked and loaded. Huh? Oh, right. Now, how do we make this light up? I'm going to need a USB-C cable. There's my charging station, so let's plug it in and see if we have any current draw. Aha! But we do have 1.5 amps. We do have a red charging indicator. So I'm going to let that sit there for a while and charge up, and we shall make sure it works. Alright, just need to unplug it for the final piece. Now, how does this thing turn on? Wait, I think everything we need to know is on the skin. Let's reskin this. We'll hook over the edge. Alright, power button I guess is the big gold one, huh? Let's hold that down and see what happens. I think that one is a battery indicator. If it is, it's not showing anything. Here we go. Yeah, and is that volume? Oh yeah, that's volume. That's cool. So each LED goes dimmer and then down to the next level, or it goes brighter, and then up to the next level. So that's loudest. There we are, full bass and treble, how about that? What does that light do? I don't know. Only when it's turned on does the battery status light up when you push the button. We should try and pair it. Right, we're paired, let's see what this thing sounds like. Alright, let's see if that royalty-free music channel is legit, or if we get struck down for that. Okay, well there we have the repair of a USB charge port on a Marshall Middleton Bluetooth speaker. Hope you enjoyed that. It's just a shame that they're quite hard to come by for parts, but at least they are out there if you've got the time. And yeah, it did take a couple of weeks, but that's fine. So thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.